appears to be working on all angles. So let me just take a second here and go ahead and get our Facebook channel taken care of here. And there we go. Very quiet again. Really not much going on in the last couple of days, and just not really seeing too much happening in the next few days either. So for anybody doing outdoors in the next couple of days, you've got some very good weather out across the area. What we are not going to see is rainfall for quite some time, and that again could be a problem where it comes to wildfire danger. So that could be something to really consider, especially if you're going, say, camping anytime soon. The potential of your area. Check with your local ranger in the particular area. Ask your fire department. Talk to anybody in charge of like the Forestry Commission. Look at their websites to see what the situation is in regards to having a campfire out in the woods or wherever you're planning on camping, because several places may not allow any fires at all, depending on how bad the situation gets. And that's the way it's looking into the next several days, depending on what goes on, because we are seeing some pretty dry conditions, to say the least, going into the next about week or so. There just really is not much in the way of good news when it comes to any rainfall out there. So we'll talk about that as well as a bunch of other things in just a little bit. All right, we are live and direct from downtown Chattanooga. Time is 11 minutes before 10 o'clock Eastern Time on April the 8th, Wednesday. We are live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook to give you, our viewers, an opportunity to participate in what's going on with the forecast. If you have questions, if you'd like to know more about what's going on, please drop it into the comment section or just say hello. It's nice to have you along and watching for tonight as part of your Wednesday routine. And this is our service to you to give you an idea as to what's happening, to kind of participate in what's going on with the forecast out there. We'll have a lot to talk about as we go throughout the next couple of minutes, so stay tuned. Off to the school bus stop in the morning. Chilly once again, not exactly frosty conditions, but it will be brisk. Temperatures back in the 40s for a good portion of the area. So teachers at the car rider line, you're going to need to bundle up out there, my wife included, if she's watching tonight. Lower 70s, looking good as you head home from the classroom on Thursday afternoon. No big problems showing up there, so good conditions across much of the area all the way through the rest of the school day on Thursday. Thanking our morning show director, Mr. Chris Dean, who's around Rome, Georgia, snapping a picture of the USAF Thunderbirds as they perform at the Wings Over North Georgia Air Show. Thank you very much, Mr. Dean, for that. Looking forward to working with you again as we go to our next morning show whenever I have the pleasure of getting there for that. So thank you very much for that. If you've got pictures, we would love to see them. Go ahead and send them in to us. Quick view under the surface of the Tennessee Aquarium at the Secret Reef camera. Love this camera. Nice little background to have out there. You never can tell who's going to be dropping through, shark traffic jam or anything like that. And you can get to this webcam by going to tnaqua.org if you'd like to take a look around there. If you got pictures, we'd love to see them. Send them along to us at pictures@WDEF.com. Drop them to our social media channels, or again, go to Weather Window headquarters at WDEF.com/photos. Please give us a description and or location. That would come in very handy so we wouldn't have to guess about where you happen to be at the time. And yours could be the next HEP Heating Weather Window picture of the day. Taking a look outdoors, it is beautiful. It's quiet. We don't have a lot going on for this evening. Again, decently quiet at Island Cove. A few waves on the surface today as winds kicked up a little bit, but not much going on. Looking back to the west here, Sylvester the Spider hanging out on screen. Downtown, looking east across downtown Chattanooga out toward McCauley and Missionary Ridge in that area, and not much happening from this location. A little hazy out on the horizon. Looking toward downtown along Broad Street from the News 12 studio, north and south towing camera. Thanks to all of our sponsors for pitching in and helping out on our advertising budget there. Plainview Outdoor Advertising Camera from CHI Memorial Stadium. Traffic on 2475 moving along very nicely at this time, and no major backups or accidents to report anywhere across the News 12 viewing area. It's comfortable, it's dry, and again should be staying that way into the rest of the evening. We're back in the mid 60s, but the humidity levels at 38%. That is really incredible to see air that dry this late at night. So numbers quite nice. This is going to be the type of humidity that we would like to see in about 3 to 4 months. We're going to be wishing for this type of dry air, but that is not going to be happening for us anytime soon. Temperatures right before the top of the hour. We are back into the 60s, a few 70s back toward the mid-south, 72 in St. Louis, 40s and 50s east of us, a little cooler back toward the Appalachians and the mid-Atlantic states. Just not seeing a lot of very cold air out there. There is a decent amount of very chilly air well to our north that is going to try to be dragged down. But the problem we've got is this area of high pressure, which has been keeping things very dry, and without a doubt, there's just not much of anything going on to give us any change out there. No possibility of rainfall at this point, and anything outdoors in the next few days looking good, to say the least. So the potential of anything involving rain that will cause a problem. High pressure, this big dome of high pressure from basically the Caribbean, the Gulf, all the way up the eastern seaboard to the St. Lawrence Seaway. This big dome of high pressure is putting a stop to anything moving our direction. It's blocking everything back to the west, or pushing this storm system here. This is a good example to be able to see what's going on. That storm system gets some moisture off the areas of the Great Lakes, cold air wrapping around that, and from southern Canada into northern Minnesota tonight, there is a decent amount of snow, freezing rain, and sleet up around close to Sault Ste. Marie, back around areas of the Great Lakes. Now that is not affecting us. That basically is about as close as that front is going to get to us, because high pressure is just saying, nope, not going any further. That's where we just don't get really too much taking place. The next storm system that we could see anything out of is several days away. Matter of fact, better part of a week away at this time. And that is where we start running into some problems. Now, usually these special weather statements from the National Weather Service will turn off after a certain point in time. This one from the National Weather Service in Peachtree City, Georgia, is in effect until at least Thursday, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central. When things like this are issued, they are usually one step below a watch or a warning, things like that. This is not a huge, immediate, major threat to life and property type situation like you would have with a flash flood or a tornado warning or something like that. This is in effect to let everybody know that there is a potential problem with the weather. In this case, this special weather statement is issued for all of North Georgia for the higher potential of wildfires. And that, again, is where we see the potential problem if you're going out camping, anything like that, putting a campfire together. You may not be allowed to, depending on what the situation is. So definitely want to check with the campsite, with the rangers, with your fire department to make certain, because in this condition, it's a good possibility that one stray spark with the winds and the drier amounts of humidity could create a wildfire and sustain it and move it along very quickly. So please keep that in mind out across the area. Now, farther to the south, it's not in effect right now, but over portions of central and southern Georgia, well to the south of Atlanta, there was a red flag fire warning for counties here where humidity was around 20% and the winds were over 10 miles per hour. So that is a very good location for a very rapid spread of wildfire. That was the immediate danger that needed to be brought out to the public. This is more of a heads up be ready for it type situation. And again, your welding torch, your backyard barbecue pit, anything involving fire outside, we have to be very careful with, considering what's going on. And again, continuing to see some very dry conditions, not only for the next couple of days, but through the weekend. There's just not much in the way of good news out there. For tonight, Northeast Alabama, you'll be back in the mid to high 40s for low temperatures, chilly but not frosty. Lower 40s for north central Georgia, higher 40s for either side of I-75 into northwest Georgia for tonight. As per usual and expected, the colder temperatures for western North Carolina will be back in the 30s, maybe a few lower 30s into central North Carolina. Southeast Tennessee will be brisk but not frosty. Temperatures will be back in the lower 40s the farther east you go. Mid to high 40s from I-75 west toward the plateau, the river valley. Again, chilly for the morning, but not seeing any frost needing to be scraped off of the windshield. So if you're going to be traveling, that could be an issue in the morning. What about our chances for rainfall in the course of the next several days? Precipitation chances pretty much right smack down the middle, according to the Climate Prediction Center. That also holds true again for the next few days. For the last month into early March, we are about 77% of where we should be for this time of the year. We desperately need that uptick in the rainfall potential. So we are behind for where we should be for this time of the year. And again, for the next 30 days, pretty much right down the middle on even chances, less to our southeast, more potential up into the upper Mississippi Valley, and that's going to be about as good as it gets. Now, that reminds me that I did not show you the almanac page real quick. So talking about that, giving you an idea as to where we are on the chances of rainfall and where we have gotten to with rainfall so far. That rain this last weekend, around Sunday, we picked up a good portion of about an inch of rainfall. So that erased our deficit for the month, but briefly only. We are now a quarter of an inch behind once again. And by this time tomorrow, if we don't get any rainfall, we will be back to a half a foot below rainfall. So we need 6 inches of rain just to make up, just to get us back to normal for this time of the year. 2026 has been an exceedingly dry year so far. Not exactly in the top 10, but not good news for wildfires or for drought situations out across the area. That is where we just need the help on, and that is the big weather story for right now. Very close to normal on temperatures. This is about as typical as you can get for this area at this time of the year. So it's been very nice to be out and about for that. It's just we need the rainfall, and that doesn't appear to be happening anytime soon. The U.S. Drought Monitor will update their map coming up tomorrow. It comes out every week on Thursday, and again for north parts of Alabama. Not as bad here as it is for northern Georgia. A 4 out of 5 drought situation, an extreme drought developing here. Also into southeast Tennessee, also into western North Carolina. So wildfires and forest fires will be the worst potential. And that, until we get a good sustained soaking, we're not going to see really anything in the way of lesser fire danger anytime soon. We need that rainfall desperately, but I just don't see it happening again for right now. Up in the morning, we should be looking again at just a few clouds sticking around the area. But that's about it. Dry and chilly for the early morning hours. Don't forget about Chip Chapman. He's got your forecast coming up on the morning show starting at 5 a.m. Eastern, so stick around for that. Let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Again, going back to our Island Cove Marina and Resort camera. And apologies to the arachnophobes in the audience. Everybody say hello to Sylvester the Spider, who hangs out on the camera lens and the housing and just goes along for the ride when we turn it one way or the other, doing his job to make certain that the world is rid of one less mosquito. So Sylvester here doing his best to help out the environment on stuff like that. for the next few days, and give me a second to get the data up here because the computer takes a while to get all that loaded. Rest of the next few days, temperatures will be heading upwards, quite comfortable, no question there. Mid to upper 80s into and through the weekend, breezy starting through the latter half of the weekend into next week. Now, last night, we were showing the potential of some showers late on Tuesday evening. That's the Chattanooga Lookouts home opener. We've removed the chances of rain for there. Clouds off and on, yes, but should be a spectacular, if everything holds, it should be a spectacular night for the Lookouts at the new Erlinger Park. So looking forward to a warm and possibly breezy evening there. We'll be live at Erlinger Park on that night to welcome in the evening, so stay tuned for that. Now, we did manage to see a squeaker of a chance of rain by the time we hit next Wednesday, which is tax day for 2026. So you've got a little bit of time to get your taxes done. It should be very mild, and if there's rain out there, perfect time to get stuck indoors, making certain that you got everything lined up for the IRS. That is where we see some great conditions, maybe some chances of rain. The best chance of rain that we have seen across the area for quite some time, and that's it. And we removed it from Tuesday. It's a good possibility we may not see this for Wednesday, tomorrow, as that threat continues to get shifted farther into the future. So the chances of rain are there off and on, but this far out, it's a good possibility that we may see less potential, and it's going to take something in the near term on time before we see a major shift in the pattern in the atmosphere to give us more chances of rain. So the pattern right now, the atmosphere is doing a great job of helping us for outdoor activities, but not so much when it comes to much needed rainfall out there. So that is something that we're going to have to really kind of wait on, and it's going to take a while for that. If you would like to learn more about weather, the National Weather Service in Nashville is holding through the month of April the Weather 101 Weather Education Seminar. It's a great opportunity, again, to learn more about the science of meteorology. They even throw in some stuff about seismology in there from time to time, three-dimensional forecasting. They talk about the use of AI in weather forecasting, so great opportunity, again, to find out more. Totally free, just show up at the meeting site. The meeting coming up tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, or today, depending on when you're watching this, that, again, is going to be a great topic. It's all about storm damage surveys. What the National Weather Service does after a particularly nasty storm or a tornado touchdown. They go out and they physically are in the field watching and recording and documenting what goes on. And if you'd like to know more about how they do it and the process that goes into something like this and the importance of learning about how storms behave and how we can learn more about the past storms to predict future storms, 10 o'clock tomorrow, Central Time, from the National Weather Service Nashville at weather.gov/OHX. That, again, will give you a great opportunity to learn more. And, again, there are more topics coming up over the next several days and weeks, and we'll bring those to you here on News 12. So keep it tuned, and we'll let you know more about that. Shower of a different type is on its way. The Lyrid, or Lyrid, depending on how you pronounce it, meteor shower will be peaking in just about another week and a half. It's going to be rising with the constellation of Lyra the Harp and very bright star, very recognizable bright star, Vega, in the east-northeast, coming up as we go into April 21st and 22nd. That's where the radiant is, where the meteors appear out of that section of the sky. So looking there and around that area, you'll see the meteors spreading out from that point. The good news about this, a couple of bits of good news, is that the moon will be down, so the moonlight will not interfere with the meteors, kind of blinding people with that extra amount of moonlight there. It is a decent shower, 10 to 15 meteors per hour. That's about one every 2 to 3 minutes. And that doesn't sound like much, but that's a decent amount to be able to go out and catch and look for meteors if that's what you're doing. And meteor train possibilities with this, yes. These meteors excuse me, they contain a lot of material that when they hit Earth's atmosphere and they burn up in the atmosphere, they leave behind a long trail, some of them do anyway, a long trail of debris that burns up and vaporizes, and you might be able to see that as it goes across the sky. So this is a really decent meteor shower to go take a look at, hoping for good weather. We'll see what actually happens here. But here's something else that you can consider. This is April, so it is, again, your opportunity to participate in 2.5 million acts of science, courtesy of SciStarter.org. This is where you may not have anything in the way of a PhD. Sometimes to participate in a study, all you need is a pencil and a piece of paper. So if you would like to listen to radio echoes of meteors, the meteors come down through the atmosphere, and their tails, as they burn up ionized gases, a radio transmitter in Belgium sends a signal out into the atmosphere, bounces off the ionosphere, but when a meteor crosses in front of that stream, it alters the path of the radio waves and then causes the speaker listening to the radio waves to create a pitch in sound that you can hear through the speakers. It's a really cool way to recognize that meteors are hitting our atmosphere. It's called the Radio Meteor Zoo. You listen in, and if you detect something that you hear and think is a meteor making its way through the atmosphere, you mark that information, and then researchers can take a look at it and verify whether or not that did happen. You spotting something that the researchers did not can help advance scientific study of the atmosphere, the meteor showers that our planet goes through, all sorts of neat stuff like that just by using your ears and your brain. If you'd like to participate in this, go to SciStarter.org, SCIStarter.org, and search meteor. Great opportunity to help study the atmosphere, astronomy, radio astronomy, all kinds of things like that. And that's all part of the 2.5 million acts of science for the month of April. So pitch in and try to help out. One last thing before we finish up for tonight, have to thank the Cleveland Amateur Radio Club for passing this along. Coming up this weekend, April the 11th, 8 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's the Star Fest. Usually these are called, and this is technically what is called a Ham Fest, named after ham radio operators. This is, again, the Star Fest, STAR, Southeast Tennessee Amateur Radio. It's a great way to get together and learn more from experienced amateur radio operators about the hobby, the equipment, the safety factors that go into it, how you can get your license. They can help you. The older and more experienced members of a ham radio community are nicknamed Elmers, and they can really help you get involved in this. So if you'd like to know more about this and to RSVP, it is coming up. It's totally free if you'd like to do this. It's a great opportunity to learn more. CARC.CC, the Cleveland Amateur Radio Club. And again, this is coming up as we go into this Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 560 Southeast Johnson Boulevard, Cleveland, Tennessee, 37311. It's a great opportunity to learn more, so please consider becoming a ham radio operator. I've been one since February of 2000, courtesy of the Delta Amateur Radio Club back in Bartlett, Tennessee, and it is not a dying hobby. No matter what some naysayers want to say, it's a great opportunity, again, to help out your community when it comes to things like severe weather. So please consider becoming a Skywarn spotter, a backyard astronomy aficionado, and an amateur radio operator if you would like to do so on that. All right, I think that should do it for tonight. We've been on for better part of almost a half an hour, so not doing too bad on here for this evening. I'm going to post this again to our social media sites if you'd like to see more. If you want to see the encore presentation in its entirety, that'll be available on YouTube, our social media pages, and at WDEF.com/weather if you'd like to pick it up from later on. And you can find me on all of these social media sites if you'd like to poke around there. We broadcast, netcast our Weather Overtime blog for Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And again, if you have any questions, drop them into the comments section. We'd love to hear what you would like to know. If you'd like to contact me, email address down toward the blue bar farther on the screen at aonek@wdef.com. If you would like to contact anybody else here at News 12, go to our website, again, wdef.com, click on the Contact Us link, and you'll be able to find out more. If you've got information about a story, if you've got a suggestion for somebody, weather overtime, if you want to see more worldwide satellite pictures, if you want to see more environmental data, more air pollution study, whatever, let us know. We can't do this without you. So if you let us know, that will help us to help you make this a great return opportunity for you to get the most up-to-date weather explanation in the Tennessee River Valley and beyond. And we're grateful to have everybody along for the ride. So thanks to everybody again for tuning in for this for tonight. I think that should do it. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here for this evening. Again, Chip Chapman will have more on your forecast bright and early on the Daybreak program that starts at 5 a.m. Eastern, so stay tuned for more there. And please check out our website and our social media pages for much more information. Live and direct on Wednesday, April the 8th, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Thanks to everybody for joining us for tonight's edition of Weather Overtime, and we'll talk to you again later this week.